And we're
Hello.
live.
All right. Welcome back to the bi-weekly Autonomous Developer Sync, where we'll discuss all the going-ons with engineering and the interface with the community yeah, along engineering lines. So why don't we just go ahead and jump in with the hot topics, Jim?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, okay, so hot topics from the community. So really they mainly center around staking on Astral at the moment. Those in Discord will have seen we've been answering questions this very morning. So the situation is that the Astral backend uses an indexer to collect and represent in a more performant fashion the on-chain activity. Well, actually, I think Mark's going to give us a more comprehensive update, but essentially that indexer, we need a new solution there, which Mark's working on. You can follow along. If you ask me, I'll send you the link to the PR, or you can find it in Discord if you search for indexer. So yeah, staking on Astral is a big hot topic. And yeah, the second big one, I guess, is interest in any news on audit progress. So if you check on the forum and in the announcements channel on Discord, you'll see there's a link to the April mainnet phase 2 roadmap update. In that update, you'll find some links where you can follow along in real time on the outstanding P1 mainnet phase 2 issues and audit, the security audit with SR Labs and our listings remain the big critical items outstanding on our roadmap. As far as the software outside of that goes, mainnet is super solid. Taurus, yeah, we're actually working on on some builds internally, but essentially people aren't struggling to run on either mainnet or Taurus. So moving on, we're going to have a community call this Wednesday. Big ticket items in there are that we're going to be meeting Rose, our APAC growth lead for the first time, and she's going to be unveiling a few things actually, some APAC outreach, including our Chinese X account, which officially launched last week. We haven't really announced it very widely at the moment, but we will be on Wednesday. You can find that at x.com/autonomous_ZH. And we will also on Wednesday be opening the window where you will be able to collect the Cosmic Cultivators Discord role. So this is an exclusive Discord role, which is only going to be available for a certain time period. There is a forum post. If you search for Cosmic Cultivators, you'll find it. And essentially what you'll be able to do is farm into a wallet that you have connected to Talisman, connect that Talisman wallet to Astral, and you'll be able to get that exclusive Discord role, and that is going to put you in the hat, and we're going to draw some winners out who are going to win some USDC a bit later on. But yeah, please join us on Wednesday. It should be pretty exciting. Moving on, I can see the next bullet point. Okay, so grants program. So the grants program is basically ready for a soft launch. We are going to have a much bigger kind of very public hard launch, I guess is the opposite of the soft launch, where we're going to have plenty of fanfare and there's going to be a lot of marketing activity around it. However, we do have, we want to build out some supporting kind of literature on the website, and one of those items you can help me out with. So I'm looking for ideas for a wish list. So if there's an application that you think that the Autonomous network, so specifically lots of like abundant block space, if there's an application that you really think would bring value to the ecosystem, please let me know, and we can talk about putting it on our wish list. And conversely, if you have a great idea, if it's you who has the idea, feel free to reach out to me. You can get me on via email at jim@autonomous.xyz, and we'll see if we can get you in for an early application. So yeah, grants program shaping up very nicely. It was one of the items we ticked off the roadmap in April. Finally, we are gearing up for the dawn of autonomy. So this is our Big Bang 2, which is around the major milestones of the network. We tend to run a bunch of community initiatives. I'm really keen to hear which ones you really enjoyed. And I want to point out that one of our favorite ones, one of my favorite ones, was the more developer focused, the plotometer, that kind of measured space pledged as we executed on the space race as we went towards that target. So I'd love to hear if you've got some an exciting idea that maybe has like a developer or engineering focus. Please let me know. And I think that's everything from me today, Jeremy. Thank you.
Sorry, I saw a typo on the slide, so I fixed it real quick here. I'm gonna reshare that, Mark. Thanks. All right. Always a lot going on, and I know we'll be addressing a couple of the things that you brought up with both the audit and Astral. So why don't we start with Ved, kind of going over what's happening in protocol, mainly about focus on the XDM issue we found last week. So.
Okay. Hey everyone. Just to go back on a little bit of context on the XDM issue, a few weeks back we noticed how the domain balances are being tracked on consensus, which was slightly incorrect. So what we did for EVM domain is we essentially disabled the balance tracking. Now that led to a regression where we did not completely disable it, but rather partially disabled it. When we partially disabled it, we uncovered a new issue that was been there forever, but we have never noticed it until the regression actually kicked in. That's the XTM issue. What happened with the XTM is, since we have partially disabled bookkeeping, some of the XTMs that are coming from domain to consensus. Note that all the XTMs coming from consensus to domains should ideally work. They were always been working fine, but the domains, the XTMs coming from domains to consensus started failing. But when they fail, they were also minting the amount of money or the amount of tokens that they were transferring. Instead of them not transferring, instead of them not minting on the consensus, we actually were minting on the consensus as well. So essentially, people who transferred from domains to consensus have the balance on both the ends instead of just only on one end. We identified issue thanks to one community member out there who notified us about this over Friday. So thanks. We noticed that we actually pushed a patch for it. We made a runtime upgrade over the weekend. The issue should not be there anymore. That is something that we are working with audit folks to actually see if there are any other further regressions that might be hiding in the plain sight that we have not seen yet so far. We'll keep you posted on that end in the coming days. Now, the second one is RPC stability. We did notice that sometimes our RPCs, specifically the EVM RPCs, are getting out of sync. They're not being stable in the sense where the blocks are not being correctly shown. This is mostly because the RPC is completely hammered. Not only just the community members, there are also some other folks who are using these RPCs specifically to index some of the blockchain stuff. Again, it's a good thing, you can index it, but that's essentially hammering the RPC. So that makes very intensive resources to be more focused on the RPC and rather than actually doing the blockchain stuff, like importing blocks, etc. So that essentially makes the node, the RPC node, go out of sync for a brief period of time. And then once the traffic reduces, it again catches up and then goes back to being synced. We are working on the infra end to actually see how we can stabilize that so that this ideally shouldn't happen for the folks who are essentially using the Polkadot.js apps to actually see the state of the chain itself. Again, for this one, we still haven't have a good solution yet, but we are working towards it. We'll keep you posted. I'm pretty sure Jim will keep you guys updated as soon as we have a fix for it and deployed out there.
All right. So, and just to kind of expand a little bit on how the audit is going. So we've to be clear on how we're doing the audit isn't a point in time. It's more dynamic, and that was in a way of trying to get audit happening as we're writing the code, rather than having to wait and then have a long period where they're doing the audit while the code is frozen. This also allows us to, as we're finding issues, make those fixes and then get those audited as well. It does make it harder to predict when the audit will end, though. So currently, we had a call with the auditors this morning to kind of go over where they're at, going over this new issue that was found, and highlighting areas where we would like a kind of refocus from them as well. We may end up doing some reprioritization so that it does not delay launch. So like I said, it's dynamics, and so we have decisions to make on exactly how to prioritize. And the highest priority for us is having a safe chain. So assets being minted in two places, obviously, not something we want happening on mainnet, and so that will be the focus as we go forward over the next couple of weeks with the auditors. Jim, does that answer any questions you have regarding the audit as a proxy for community?
Yeah, I think so. It's as you say, it's a dynamic thing, and what we probably need to do is make sure that people understand the wider picture here. It's very easy to kind of focus on this is the blocker, this is where we need to go, but actually the overarching goal for us is to, mainnet phase 2, we launch a secure chain, and security audits are part of that. So yeah, I think so, but very happy to field questions from the community and seek out answers if anyone is still a little bit confused or wants a deeper understanding of what's going on there. You can see the process, it's all happening in GitHub. You can see the issues, us requesting the audit, and then the auditors giving us their responses. It's all there.
I think transparency is kind of at the top of the list for us as far as being able to answer any questions and letting people see exactly what's happening behind the scenes. So, all right, with that, let's move on to Astral. Mark.
Yes, so in the last 2 weeks, a lot of improvement in terms of UX and the staking interface especially has been made, small improvements to make it much more easily. Internally, we ask everyone to test it and give us feedback, and it really helped people. Naman has been instrumental at fixing a lot of those issues, improving a lot of the UI. We also open a lot of issue on GitHub on the repo to track other improvement that we want to slide in. To go back to the issue that we were mentioning, Jim was mentioning earlier. So the staking interface is requiring a very complex data structure. Some tables, some data like the amount staked into the operator change constantly, and you need to list to query the state of the chain at every block pretty much to know if it changed. Other entry like the operators are unique. You don't want multiple copy of the same operators in the database. And the way our current indexer engine is working limit us quite a lot in terms of how we can use it to serve those data structure. So we had kind of played around, and I wrote most of that code, right? Like I wrote a bunch of triggers in the database to modify some field that the indexer engine was not allowing us to edit. And that create a bunch of issue as soon as the indexer end up getting a block that has fork, for example, and reorganize the indexer. It end up stopping the indexing process on the staking section of the indexer. So this lead us to realize that we need a custom solution, at least for staking interface. But since it's the most complex, indexing blocks is pretty simple versus the staking interface. So I started writing. I mean, it's pretty much complete. It just needs more like testing and more like reorg management to add to it. But yeah, start writing an indexing engine to custom build for our chain to merge to serve all our purpose, indexing auto EVM at the substrate level, so indexing XDM on both consensus and domain, and the staking interface the way we need to serve the data, indexing the data the way we need it. So that will that should improve a lot the sticking interface once we can once it's fully synced and it's being tested a bit more to migrate to that indexing engine. So that's the plan, and that should remove the fact that sometimes the staking and the interface is just the staking interface kind of stop in time, and then you register an operator and you don't see it, or you nominate an operator and you don't see it, and one day later it's there. That's end up being me fixing the bug, but that shouldn't be the solution.
Do you have an estimate on when you'd expect to be migrating to the new indexer?
A rough estimate will be probably a week or two, depending. Right now, what's missing? The two parts that are missing is writing the reorg logic to be able to detect when blocks are getting reorganized, and revert those whatever has been inserted into the database or updated, and re-query those blocks. So that's the main logic that's missing, and ideally writing tests like unit tests on those logic components. So yeah, I'd say about a week at earliest, at most 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. Great.
Hopefully by next step sync.
All right, Carlos, how's AutoDrive?
Yeah, like the main focus of AutoDrive and data stack in general these 2 weeks have been mainly on the file gateway optimization, trying to maximize the bandwidth of the file gateway, so we provide a better experience. And yeah, like we had like in both protocol and application layer a really big optimization that basically reuse the downloaded pieces for like when a file that is composed by different object mappings. Usually, those several object mappings are included in the same piece. So now instead of downloading five times the piece for the 5 object mappings, it could only download once. So this is really promising. We don't have like real benchmarks right now because we're experimenting some networking issues. So we cannot provide really actual numbers, but it's quite promising. And on other features or enhancements, we're working on updating the user profile in AutoDrive. That Naman has been working really hard on that. Also, optimizing other processes that were somehow slow, like the files being marked as archived in AutoDrive. That, for example, Taurus is really behind the actual archiving. And yeah, that process has been optimized and probably is gonna work much better.
Great. I look forward to hearing seeing benchmarks on the improvements for the non-repeated piece download. So, all right, and I think finally we've got Agent Saeed.
Yeah. So one of the news is about like the Agent OS is released right now since 2 weeks. So right now you can generate your agent project as a template in the same experience like Yarn or NPM when you wanted to create a new project. So that's going to be the same way, like agent-os, in it, the name of your project or the agent, and it will be created automatically for you. And other features of this package manager is about like publishing tools and installing certain tools if you're interested. So all of them will be stored on DSN. And so when you want to download or install, it will automatically fetch from the DSN and install it on your agent project. We are working on the website. This is one of the things that you can keep an eye because we will launch it with high probability this week. That it's going to be like npm registry, but for tools and MCPs. Then you can see what are the tools and MCPs are available on the Agent OS package manager. And then another thing is that Agent Docker is also available at the template repo. So you can just follow the README and generate the Docker image or container for your agent, and if you wanted to put it on cloud or something. Also, Web CLI has a couple of improvements thanks to Naman. And also, we released the Docker image of the Web CLI as well. So if you wanted to have an interface for your agent, you don't have to clone the whole repo of the mono repo of the agent. You can just spot the Web CLI part in the README of the mono repo with a single command run the interface for your agents. And the another thing is that we had a huge improvement on the local and open source models. We are still in a process of iterating and finding new bugs or unexpected errors. But the good thing is we completely ran the whole autonomy flow when the LLM is in charge of doing all of the decisions, making all of the decisions, run with the Llama 3.3 versatile model, which tool execution is one of the features of this model. We are also testing with other models, maybe weaker models, to see how it goes. But the good thing is it is now working with the open source models, and we are working on some other improvements. The next thing that it is almost done, but we haven't merged it yet, is a new design for the agent chatbot. So previously, chatbot was just a simple vector database query search based on the actions that the agent has been done, and it is stored as a vector in a vector format on a vector database. But right now, this is completely different. The agent chatbot is more intelligent. It has access to tools. It can go and run specific tools based on your prompts. It can run a whole autonomy of the thing that you were doing with the agent. And yeah, it's coming with a much more features. And hopefully you will see it this week as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So that'll be, I'm excited for that one. I think, you know, if you've been running the web CLI with the agents, there's a chat box, so it kind of can feel like you can chat with the agent, but really that was an initiator of a task box. And so if you asked a question or suggested something, they just went off and kind of took that as that it should be initiating some sort of task. Now it'll be able to decide whether this is like a question or is this something I should go do. So it'll be I think a much better user experience for those who are running agents.
Yeah.
All right. I think that was everything for today.
Jeremy,
yeah.
Sorry, Jeremy,
Yes.
can I just jump in? Sorry, my community side is going to kick in for a second here. So first of all, I spotted that King Snooch has commented on our call live. It's being streamed on YouTube and X and LinkedIn. King Snooch from Twitter, from X, sorry, has said, "This is rare to see that you guys doing this publicly. Great to see. Keep building." And I wanted to highlight that. We've had a few comments. Thanks, King Snooch. But it reminded me actually that when I first found what was Subspace Protocol, before we became Autonomous, it was the DevSync calls that, again, I had that same feeling, King Snooch. You know, the transparency that these, you know, warts and all calls really attracted me to the project. So I wanted to shout that out. And I also just wanted to say thanks. You know, that XDM issue, we wouldn't have found it without the community you know, interaction. They're crossing the narrow sea. This is a payoff for that. So I just wanted to say that I and the rest of the team, we really appreciate all the testing that's going on. Thanks very much. Oh, and one last thing. All the links that Saeed mentioned, I'm going to hassle him and put them in the video description afterwards. So if you want to see items like if you want to pull the agent Docker image, check the description below. Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, thanks for all of that, Jim. We love seeing, I think transparency in the project has been one of our kind of core values. It was something that attracted me as well when I was first looking at joining Subspace. It feels long ago. So it's great to hear kind of exhortation around that. All right, well, I think that is it. Mark, you want to sign us off here?
Yeah, I mean, we do those dev syncs every 2 weeks at 2:30 p.m. UTC. So don't hesitate to contribute, report bugs, ask questions on the forum, on Discords, on GitHub, contribute in code, like, share, retweet. Thank you very much for having listened.
All right.